UN Human Rights Commission mandated a report on the systemic racist police violence and ongoing police genocide against Blacks in the United States. Joining us to discuss this is Brian E. Muhammad, NNV News Weekly contributor. Greetings, sir.
Greetings, Sister Rosalind, and Assalamu alaikum to everybody. And I just want to say, while we're still in Ramadan Mubarak to all of the fasting Muslims in our last few days of the month.
Yes, that's right. Your recent article in the Final Call newspaper is entitled Ugly America. Panel condemns ongoing police genocide against Blacks. Who were among the individuals and group representatives on that International Commission of Inquiry panel and on systemic racist police violence?
Well, it was a panel of commissioners, all from outside of America. None of them were from the United States, all impartial to the politics and everything within America. But there was 12 of them from the Caribbean, Africa, Asia, Latin America, and Europe. And it was put together by a group of lawyer groups that came together called the International Commission of Inquiry on Systematic Racist Police Violence Against African Descent, people of African descent in the United States. And that's who put it together.
What were the group's conclusions?
Well, they concluded that the police violence, which really amounts to police genocide on Black people, they looked at about 44 cases that resulted in fatalities and one case permanent paralysis. But they determined that the police killings and maiming of Black people in the United States amounts to crimes against humanity and also breaks many international laws.
I would agree. Police violence and killing of Black people are crimes against humanity and atrocities that violate international law. Will the International Criminal Court launch an investigation against the U.S. for these crimes against humanity?
Well, it depends. You know, this is one of the things that the group have called for, the International Criminal Court to intervene and do an investigation and call the U.S. out on these atrocities. The problem is that the United States is not a party, a signatory to the court. So anytime, and there's been other issues in the past, other efforts in the past to bring the U.S. Before the court, but the U.S. fought tooth and nail because it's not a party, and America in its arrogance don't feel that the outside justice system should have any dealings with what Americans do or the U.S. government does within. So it remains to be seen.
Oh, okay. Several family members of the victims of police killings were involved in a Zoom press conference. Who were some of the family members of that conference?
Well, Gwen Carr, who was the mother of Eric Garner. If you remember, Eric Garner was choked to death in an illegal chokehold by New York City police. Philonise Floyd, the brother of George Floyd. And of course, we know that George Floyd's killing is the thing that sparked this international attention on the plight of Black people in America where law enforcement is concerned. And the mother of Clinton Alexander, who died in Dallas at the hands of the Dallas police in 2013, Colette Flanagan.
Can you speak to us about some of the things that they said about the U.S.'s systemic racism and the killings of our Black men and women?
Sure. You know, Ms. Flanagan, really, to me, her remarks really stood out because she called it straight that America has a culture of systemic racism, you know, and that's deeply rooted in the police departments throughout the country. And she called for a robust international accountability, you know, a mechanism that will support the efforts of eradicating and dismantling this system. And she feels like this group of lawyers felt that this has to be done outside of the borders of America because the justice system within has been a dismal failure. Even though there was this verdict with the killer, this murderous cop of George Floyd, that is truly the exception, not the rule in America.
Right. Now, do you see the condemnation of America as a major human rights offender and breaker of international law as a step towards reparations for Black and Brown people who are victims of this genocide?
That's a good question. I believe so. I believe that it's a step to, in the process, to fight and gain global steam and support for reparatory justice. Because our people, we know the condition of our people from slavery. We know the negative outlook of life for many of our people because of that. And this only compounds it. The actions of so-called law enforcement on us, this killing field that they have formed on Black life. So yes, I believe that this report is a step in that will help, you know, again, set the stage and set the case, not just in the United States, but set the case against the United States, but on the world stage.
Now, can you speak to what exactly is the Rome Statute? And then why isn't the US a signatory of that statute?
Well, the Rome Statutes is a group of laws that the world community agreed to abide by, you know, and the United States actually was part of the group of nations that put it together. But when the group of nations decided on principles that you know, that court, the International Criminal Court, can actually investigate its member states for crimes or alleged crimes against humanity, America backed up and said, we're not going for that because, again, America in its arrogant stance, this arrogance that it has always been from its inception, is saying that, no, we are the moral authority of the world. You don't judge us, we judge you. And so they backed up off of that. So they never ratified it. Now, they did things to support its existence, and they've even pushed other nations and leaders for the World Court to arrest and try in its hypocritical way. But when it came to America, America did everything possible not to be subjected to the international court, which, again, it was a part of the founding nations of, you see. And so, and I'm gonna tell you how far it goes. Last year, and over the last year and a half during the Trump administration, the prosecutor at the International Criminal Court wanted to investigate crimes against humanity perpetrated by U.S. military in Afghanistan and lands pertaining to that war in Afghanistan. They wanted to look at the military and members of the intelligence, the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. America didn't say, okay, come, let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do to accommodate if there was some wrongs done by our people. No, they decided to personally sanction the prosecutor, block her from coming to America to do this, and anybody from the court who was due to come to the United States to do any kind of investigation in the matter. Not only did they sanction them, but they sanctioned members of their families, staff. This is the kind of, again, as I use on the show all the time pertaining to America, this is the gangster that we know. And that's how they move on the world stage. So that's why they're not a part of the ICC.
Gotcha. Now, we have a break coming up, but I want to make sure that I ask you this question before we go. Is the United States the proverbial fox guarding the hen house when it comes to human rights abuses? And is the current incident of police violence part of the U.S. colonialism and racist history of oppression and genocide perpetuated against Black and brown people?
Oh, yes. It is the proverbial fox guarding the hen house. In fact, it's the fox financing the hen house. And so that's why any of the hens who may get bold enough to rise up, they think twice. That's why the UN is a toothless tiger when it comes to accountability of the US, because the US pumps so much money in, and it has this unyielding way of twisting the arm of other nations. So, you know, they are certainly like a fox in the hen house. And the second part of your question on that was give me that again, please.
Yes. Are the current incidents of police violence part of the U.S. colonialism and racist history of oppression and genocide?
Yes, definitely. You know, first of all, we have to recognize that is the good framework to deal with America on the international stage. For Black people to first recognize that we are a colonized and still a subjected people. And so whether we know that or not, we have to understand that in order to understand the role of law enforcement. White communities, law enforcement is to protect and serve. Black communities is to enforce the slave master paradigm and relationship that we have. It's to control and contain the slaves, just like it did. The police departments actually started in the slave catching days. That was part of empire and to contain the slave and to keep that slave master relationship. And this is why you see this killing, again, turning America into a killing field at the hands of law enforcement, because that is how they view us. It's systemic. Right. So even though you have cops who may not think about Black people like that, but it is systemic in their departments and in their history. And it's the very institution of law enforcement in America. So yes, that's what it is.
Thank you, Brother Brian. I know we could listen to you talk about this all day. But thank you so much for your insight on this subject. I look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's pause for announcements from our sponsors. When we return, Julius Tillery, a fifth-generation cotton farmer, will be on to talk about his business. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with NNVnews.com.